You're watching the area's only primetime local newscast, Fox 55 News, first at 10.
Tonight on Fox 55 News, we take a look at the wintry weather that's currently across the region. I'll let you know when that snow finally tapers off and just how much will be on the ground tomorrow morning.
And if you thought you didn't have to worry about the snow brushes or the slick road conditions for your morning commute, you might have to reconsider. I'm Caleb Saylor. I'll tell you what to expect from the area roads coming up.
And local reaction to the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict, and later.
I want more the police around in this area. I really do.
A deadly shooting kills one Fort Wayne woman and leaves another fighting for her life in a hospital. You're going to hear from a neighbor about the amount of violence they've seen in their community. Fox 55 News starts right now. Good evening, I'm Chris Malooly. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, wintry weather in our area. It's not fun, especially for this time in April, but it's not rare. It's just not normally the weather we mostly expect. Tonight, we're going to have team coverage of the snowfall, its effect, and the impact it'll have on your morning commute. You see meteorologist Caleb Saylor there. He's live in Fort Wayne monitoring road conditions, and meteorologist Beverly Perry is here tracking some of that snow moving through their area. We're going to start with Beverly first. Beverly, you have the latest on the snowfall and temperatures. Tell us what you're seeing so far.
Yeah, so the snow, believe it or not, is finally starting to taper off across the region. You see the back edge of that, so Elkhart County as well as Kosciuszko County, you're out of the woods. This is going to continue to track to the south and east. So light snow, a lot of this is still just light snow. We had that moderate to heavy snowfall earlier in the evening. Now it's just on the lighter side of things. In Steuben County, DeKalb County along 6 towards Kendallville and Noble County, seeing light snow. Also included in this, Allen County, Fort Wayne, Monroeville, Aboit, even towards Whitley County, seeing some light snow. We've seen a few darker bands. You notice that along 27 near Burns. That's going to continue to lift in the southeasterly fashion. And again, this is all tapering off for us. But more importantly, it is going to be downright cold for us. We have a freeze warning in effect right now, lasts tonight, and also for tomorrow night. We're looking at bitterly cold temperatures across the area, which will impact the potential for the roadway. So we turn to meteorologist Caleb Saylor, that is out in the field. He has the very latest on that.
Yeah, the snow started to stick at around 4 p.m. here in Fort Wayne. That was primarily on the grassy surfaces. And I noticed as I was driving around this evening, at about 7:30, the snow started to stick to the elevated surfaces. I'm actually here at the overpass on Covington Road, just over I-69, where the bridge right over here, the snow is starting to stick. And like Beverly mentioned, cold temperatures filtering in back behind it, and that's actually where the concern lies. Overnight, as those temperatures drop down into the upper 20s, in a lot of places, we could possibly see some roads freeze over, creating some headaches for the morning commute. I caught up with Hunter Petroviak at NDOT this afternoon to see how their crews have been preparing the highways, and he says operations tonight are no different than a normal event, and they'll even be getting a little bit of help from Mother Nature.
With where we're at in the year, things are kind of warmer, so our road temperatures are warmer. So it puts us in a pretty good position to be able to treat the roads, no problem. With that being said, we know it is going to get a little colder tonight. So we are expecting to have to plow and put salt down. And the good news is that we have plenty of salt supply left, so there should be no issues in that department.
Even with NDOT being able to get to the roads tonight, your morning commute may be a little bit slow going. That's because some slick spots could develop, especially on those secondary and less traveled roads. So you're going to want to add some extra minutes to your morning commute to get to where you need to be safely. And you'll hear more from Hunter in the next half hour about what you need to be concerned with as well for your morning commute. Reporting live in Fort Wayne, Caleb Saylor, Fox 55 News.
Thanks for that, Caleb. And Indiana Michigan Power, they want customers to be aware of some of those potential hazards that come along with tonight's wintry weather like we're seeing. That includes dangerous driving and walking conditions. Drivers, make sure you slow down for first responders, snowplows, and I&M crews. I&M says never touch a fallen utility wire, no matter how harmless it looks. Don't touch anything in contact with a line, such as a tree, fence, or puddle of water. And always be sure to be aware of your surroundings. And to stay up to date with the latest and most accurate weather forecast, you can download our Fox 55 Severe Weather app. Make sure to visit that. You can go to our website, WFFT.com. Right now, you're looking at a live look at inside Minneapolis, where a memorial is being held outside the Cup Foods, where George Floyd was killed. Earlier today, the jury in the Derek Chauvin trial found the former officer guilty of all counts for that May 2020 death of George Floyd. 45-year-old Derek Chauvin was found guilty of 3 charges today: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Chauvin could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, 25 years for the third-degree murder charge, and 10 years for manslaughter. Camila Bernal has more.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
After close to 10 hours of deliberations over just 2 days,
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty.
the verdict is in.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty.
The jury finding former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 counts.
I would not call today's verdict justice, however, because justice implies true restoration. But it is accountability.
George Floyd's brother stood inside the courtroom as the jury's verdict was read, while outside, protesters celebrating the victory. His girlfriend sharing her grief and her sense of relief.
It'll mean change. It's a first step in a long road to recovery.
Chauvin's bail was revoked and he was led out of the courthouse in handcuffs. In Minneapolis, I'm Camila Bernal.
And here locally, groups and city officials were reacting to that news of the guilty verdict this afternoon. The group Changemakers held a meeting this afternoon to talk about the verdict and discuss their plans moving forward. And City Councilwoman Michelle Chambers, who heads the Police Reform and Racial Justice Commission in Fort Wayne, formed after the June protest we saw here in Allen County, spoke with us shortly after the verdict was announced. Chambers says today justice was served.
Found guilty on all 3 counts. That's probably why I had to sit in my car and compose myself, because I'm getting ready to go into city council, and I cried. It was tears of joy, tears of heartache, tears of, I can have faith in the system again.
Chambers went on to say she hopes this is the start of rooting out the few bad apples that exist in any policing organization. President Joe Biden also making remarks on the guilty verdict, saying today's verdict sends a message to Americans and is a step forward towards justice.
No one should be above the law, and today's verdict sends that message, but it's not enough. So we can't leave this moment or look away thinking our work is done. We have to look at it, we have to look as we did for those 9 minutes and 29 seconds. We have to listen. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Those are George Floyd's last words. We can't let those words die with him.
Biden adds this is a time for this country to come together and unite as Americans. Right now, one woman is dead and another is fighting for her life in a Fort Wayne hospital after a shooting near downtown Fort Wayne. Police are interviewing witnesses currently for information on a possible suspect. Fox 55's Nico Panisi is live on 3rd Street, where he spoke with residents and was at the crime scene earlier today. Nico, what did the people you spoke with have to say?
Chris, residents of this area say it's no stranger to crime and other drug activity. Many parents of small children say they're starting to question the neighborhood's safety and are pleading with Fort Wayne police to take action.
Dennis Harmon was walking along 3rd Street Tuesday when he was met with sirens, flashing lights, and a line of police cars.
And I seen squad cars coming down the street.
But that's not all he saw.
Body and everything, and it was covered up by blood. And when I got down there, they started taping it off and I couldn't go any farther.
Fort Wayne police say when officers arrived, they found 2 women with gunshot wounds. One was pronounced dead at the scene. Another was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Resident Francisco Munoz says crime in the neighborhood is nothing new.
My neighbor told me the other day there was a guy sleeping on my porch, and You know, he called the cops and stuff like that, and they find some drugs on him.
Munoz is concerned for the youth who live here.
I want more the police around in this area. I really do. I mean, I had kids, you know. I had kids, and neighbors had kids. And
Harmon agrees.
Every day, mornings when these kids go to school, even though when they're coming home, I keep a lookout on them.
Shootings, drug activity, and reckless driving are all things these residents want to see gone from their neighborhood. As you can see behind me, Fort Wayne police are still at the scene. They're investigating and speaking to witnesses. In Fort Wayne, I'm Nico Panisi, Fox 55 News.
We would love to fill them, but we simply don't seem to have the demand.
Coming up, local health departments seeing a decline in people signing up for COVID-19 vaccines, how health officials plan to fill those appointments and make sure no dose goes unused, plus a historic amount of funding heading to Indiana schools. We're going to tell you how much of the record-setting Indiana state budget will head towards education. And later,
I heard the first shot come through the windshield, and that's when he shot me.
A survivor of the Indianapolis FedEx shooting describes the moment he unknowingly drove up to the shooter. That's coming up.